Good evening, everyone. This is Writing on Air. I am your host, Kevin, and this is KZFR 90.1. Kylene will actually, my usual co-host, is not here tonight, so I have a stand-in who I've roped into doing this for me. I think she's unaware of what's going to be happening tonight. Hannah, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hannah's actually been here a few times. I think twice now.
Yeah, I think this is my third time.
Third time. Oh my goodness. Okay, so she kind of knows what she's into, or getting into tonight. So this is Writing on Air, and for those of you who don't know, we take submissions, short story submissions, flash fiction, poems, haikus, stuff like that, and usually pair it with music, and then read it and have a little bit of discussion afterwards. Kind of allows us to become like a frame for people to put their art in on the air and give it kind of a platform for viewing and listening. Mainly listening. I guess the viewing part is kind of lacking on there, given this is radio.
Use your imagination.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole point, I think. So if you want to submit, or you liking the stuff that you hear and you want to comment on it, which we do encourage, you can always do so at write.onair@gmail.com. That's WRITE.onair@gmail.com. And we do have a Facebook page, Writing on Air. We also have a YouTube page that has all of our episodes. And speaking of episodes, this is our 20th episode, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's been a journey. I think I'm hoping each episode has gotten better than the last as far as mixing goes and sound quality goes and stuff. To me, I think it has. Some of my listeners might beg to differ.
I would agree with you, though.
Okay, thank you, yeah. So yeah, 20 episodes. That's it's every other week is when we air, 7 o'clock to 7:30 Wednesday nights. You can do the math there. That's 40 weeks, I think, right? 20 times 2.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's math. If I can't do 20 times 2, I think I definitely should be in radio and English, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. So I guess that's kind of working out. Anyways, this is getting way off track. So tonight we have kind of a special thing going on here. An artist that we've had submit a few times before, A.E. Kellogg, is submitting again. And I kind of decided to give her her own episode because she's given us quite a bit of work. Whenever I call her and say, hey, I need you to submit, please, we have no stuff for the next episode, she always digs deep and throws some stuff my way. So I have a couple of her newer pieces and then one of her old pieces that we'll end with that I really liked back when we aired it, 10 episodes ago. It was really good. So she goes by A.E. Kellogg, and this first piece that I'm going to read is called Mermaid Tears, and it actually has, I can pull up the background here, and inspired by kind of like background to it. So she said, this was inspired by an art installation I saw a couple of years ago at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. A clear cylinder with a whirlpool of water carrying tiny, colorful plastic pieces. The plaque called them mermaid tears. I later found out that they're also called nurdles or microplastics and are a major part of the pollution in areas like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I was also inspired by Chris Jordan's photography of dead ocean birds and other photographers' aerial views of polluted water landscapes. Finally, I love the tradition of mermaid stories from writers like Hans Christian Andersen and Oscar Wilde. Those mermaids didn't have souls and weren't able to cry, but their voices were always beautiful. This piece actually is, I think, like 10 pages or something like that. It's a long piece, and I took the first page, so there's a lot missing to it, and I'm kind of just giving like a short excerpt of it, but I feel the first page is a nice little litmus for it, kind of a really good, succinct portion of it. So we'll get right into it. They don't tell stories about mermaids like they used to. Mermaids today are all plastic and bright colors. You find them on toy store shelves in an aisle that's been dyed pink, smiling pink lipstick smiles and waving pink lame tails. Or you find them in thrift stores, buried in plastic bins under soldiers and teddy bears and packs of old postcards, their seashell bras all fallen off and lost. These mermaids are fitting for our shiny blue beaches and postcard dreams. Postcard dreams are what bring people to the California coast. Dreams of blue water and golden sand. These people grumble when met with gray. They don't dare dip their hands into crashing gray water. They don't dare touch the green rocks encrusted with the brown who knows what. They grit their teeth and think of nothing but holding together their ripped-up postcard dreams. There's just enough space between the edges of dreams for creatures of the fantastic to hide. A pair of brown, barnacle eyes blinks against the crashing tide. A lithe brown body turns over in the surf, and perhaps someone will see it as a rolling wave or a tumbling rock. Perhaps a truly imaginative child will see it as a sea otter rolling over and playing. Children are better at seeing around the edges than adults. The mermaid swims deeper into deeper water. Behind her is the strip of coast where water and air and sand all crash together, but out here it's deeper and easier to breathe. The mermaid swims out to the home of the sea witch. "What did you see?" asked the sea witch. "I saw food half chewed and tossed to the ground, and I saw a man leaning against a wall and starving. What else did you see?" "I saw drinks half drunk and poured into the waves, and I saw that it mixed with salt water that humans can't drink." "What else did you see?" "I saw a child drop his ice cream and cry." The sea witch sighs. Bubbles stream from her mouth. What does it mean to cry? They don't tell stories about mermaids like they used to. There was a time when their snake legs and feathered chests struck fear into hearts, when their voices and bare shoulders lured to their deaths, when their voices and bare shoulders lured sailors to their deaths. There was a time when mermaid girls sold their tongues for husbands and their flowing hair for souls. These are not the mermaids that the world needs now. To cry is to have a soul, young one. To have tears is to have a second voice, one that speaks your truest self. I like that piece a lot.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, why don't you start? Any thoughts on it or feelings you get from it? Because I get quite a few, actually.
It's almost like someone's been looking at the world through these rose-colored glasses and everything's amazing, and then all of a sudden they take them off and they're seeing it for what it is. People wasting food and people going hungry at the same time, just feet away from each other.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like they are just seeing the world for what it is for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's not all plastic mermaids, and it's
For all the old meaty mermaids, it's now like the plastic, just kind of made up ones.
Fake, and yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely, I get a sense of like magic lost, the mystery kind of disappearing, and it's left to the children, and the adults don't care anymore. And there's like that disconnection too, where they have, let me find that spot. Postcard dreams are what bring people to the California coast. Dreams of blue water and golden sand. These people grumble when met with gray. They don't dare dip their hands into crashing gray water, and they don't dare touch the green rocks encrusted with brown who knows what. They grit their teeth and think of nothing but holding together their ripped-up postcard dreams. They have this ideal actually, an idea too, of what should be there, and when they get there and it's not the perfect, like, picturesque thing, they want no part of it. They don't appreciate it. They expect the blue beaches, just this amazing stuff where these mermaids are just fantastical, and when they get there and see that it's just been kind of eviscerated by trash and by just the impressions of other people, it loses all the luster and people just turn their backs on it.
Very true.
Yeah, and trash it. I like the sea witch there too, because it gives a different, I guess thematically, I suppose, or I guess that would be the word for it. The sea witch and the mermaid give this really kind of outside perspective of what's going on. The children are throwing things away and they're crying when they lose these things, and they can't cry, and well, do we have souls ourselves? Like, there's that question for themselves. To have a soul, to cry is to have a soul, young one. To have tears is to have a second voice, one that speaks your truest self. Just, oh man.
That's a good line.
Yeah. It's taking a minute there.
Yeah.
We both had to appreciate that. Yeah, I really like this, just the majesty lost because of how people impress upon things. And there's an italicized line here that's in parentheses that says, "There's just enough space between the edges of dreams for creatures of the fantastic to hide." And I like that because it separates itself from the entire text. It's almost like a thought of either the author, the narrator who's writing this, or someone else that's not quite in this picture. There's enough space in this world between the edges of dreams for creatures of the fantastic to hide. Like, they still exist. There's still majesty. There's still magic in there. I like it.
It's just a great piece. I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to find things to say about it because you just want to sit there and reread it and just absorb.
Yeah, if we had more time, and I probably could have, but I didn't want to spend all the time on one piece. Wanted to kind of break it up. Like I said, this piece goes on for many more pages. So this is just the beginning. Maybe I'll do like a page a week or so, or a page every 2 weeks. We'll see. Yeah, so thank you, A.E. Kellogg, for submitting that. That was Mermaid Tears. We'll probably come back to that at the end. I think I have a few more things I want to say on it. But the next piece is also by A.E. Kellogg. And this one is called Trying. There was no backstory for it. It just kind of was submitted, and yeah, that's kind of it. No backstory. So we'll get right into it. Ugly girls. We keep our smiles pulled back over crooked teeth. Our eyelids patterned red and white, foreheads lumpy and noses spotted. Our eyebrows heavy and dark, cheeks picked and pitted and mined. Ugly girls. We cross our arms. On tables that rub our elbow skin raw, we touch our wrist, remember our bones, laugh practice laughs if we're lucky, stretch our necks out like giraffes, tap our fingers in echoes of your voice. Ugly girls. We lean into the lamplight, drag it harshly over cheekbones, dungeon it in bags under our eyes, snarl our way out into your sight. Ugly girls. We never got to choose, to command your notice or be ignored. Ugly girls. We push through with what we have, which is, what is, ugly girls. That was Trying by A.E. Kellogg. Whew.
Another very good piece.
Yeah, that one was heavy.
Yes.
Anything stand out to you? I can
Let me
start
think
if,
on it. Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead and like let it steep in a bit. So for me, what I thought was really interesting is there's a line in here that says, give me a second to find it. We never got to choose to command your notice or be ignored. And what that is saying right there in my eyes, and she can write to me and tell me if I'm wrong. Please do, by the way, if you ever submit a piece and I interpret things wrong or in a way you don't like, let me know. I definitely want to know and correct that. We never got to choose to command your notice or be ignored. And I guess the best way to put that is, say, for example, someone who is commonly thought of as attractive usually commands someone's notice, like all the people look to that person. But also sometimes they are ignored because, we don't want to admit that we like that person or something, so we ignore them. And this ugly girls, quote unquote, didn't get either option. They're not ignored, they're not noticed, they're neutral. They exist. People look at them and there's no feeling in one direction or the other. And God, that is a tough line to read. That's a tough line to accept. It's not that there was any impression on them whatsoever. They just are passed over.
It's almost like they feel as if they've been placed on the earth and just there.
Yeah, we push through with what we have.
They're just having to fight just to be noticed by anyone.
Yeah, consistently.
Yeah.
It's there's a interesting little element going on here too. At the start of every stanza, so there's 4 stanzas here, in parentheses, it's ugly girls. And then again, ugly girls, and the last one, it repeats twice, at the start and at the end. Kind of how like an unhealthy thought might work. It starts off kind of slow, and then it gets the lines or the stanzas actually get shorter and more concise, and it starts to get more rapid, the reading style, and the words a little bit shorter and more condensed. So it feels like almost like a spiral out of control. Like we're trying to do all these things. We're trying, and then it stops.
Almost like an anxiety attack. Like it just builds and builds, and then you can't take it anymore. It's just, that's all you can think about.
Yeah. We keep our smiles pulled back over crooked teeth. They're trying as hard as they can. We cross our arms on tables that rub our elbow skins raw. So there's so much, that 2 lines, ugly girls. We cross our arms on tables that rub our elbow skin raw. To me, that it speaks of so much like, act this way, do what's like commonly accepted, and make sure you don't move otherwise. Like you're sitting perfectly still, don't move even if it hurts. Just do what will get you noticed, or do what is accepted. Do this stuff. We touch our wrist to remember our bones. That's another one too. Bones, in my mind, when I think in one of the past episodes, I commented that certain words I feel have like an atmosphere around them. When you say the word, it brings to mind other images or like a smell or a sight or a taste or a feeling. And bones is one of those that brings to mind a lot when it's used. We touch our wrist to remember our bones. And the context there is like a kind of death, but also a kind of life, because bones are the skeletal structure that we all have. It keeps you together. So we touch our wrist to remember that we exist. That would like almost like pinching yourself, like stay stable, remember you're here, root yourself in yourself. But then immediately it flops back to laugh, practice laughs if we're lucky. Like there's so much control there trying to maintain just the stability, just the attention.
Well, it's almost like they're trying to fit in. So by feeling the bones, they're feeling like, well, we all have the same bones.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're trying to have that in common. And then it goes back to, well, just fake laugh so you fit in almost.
Yes, yeah. There's this weird like push and pull back and forth. Like don't fit in, fit in, don't fit in, fit in. We lean into the lamplight, drag it harshly over our cheekbones, dungeon it in bags under our eyes, snarl away into your sight. Oh man, these pieces are so good, A.E. Kellogg. Thank you for submitting these. I really do appreciate you putting all this stuff in. As I said, she's submitted many more before, and she's always kind of saved me when I'm in a tight pickle, when I don't have pieces or when I need pieces for another show. Yeah, so that one's called Trying. Even the title there, like trying to fit in, trying to be noticed, trying to do all the stuff, like all the things that. And what's interesting too is Ugly Girls is in parentheses the entire time. It's like it's kind of hidden in that sense too. Mm-hmm. Like it's not part of the rest of the piece. It's secluded on its own, and you could fill in really anything. If you got rid of Ugly Girls, we keep our smiles pulled back over crooked teeth. You could interchange that with anyone who might have a bad view of themselves at any point. It's such a yeah, and really just the fact that is not part of their. It's secluded. Ugly Girls goes exactly with what this entire piece is saying. Like they don't feel part. They're trying to, but they don't. And so they've even put themselves in this little category in these parentheses, and they can't even be part of their own writing almost.
I'm almost picturing someone just standing in front of the mirror and looking at their futures and figuring out what about them, like the fake smile, the laugh, all that. And then there's just this voice in the back of their head that just keeps saying Ugly Girls.
Yeah.
It's just like
an
echo almost. And like no matter what you think about, it's still there.
Yeah. Whew. Well, move on to the next piece now. Thank you. We'll come back to this one. I really appreciate that submission. So this last piece is one that we've done before. I really don't remember exactly what episode it was on, but I remember we talked a lot about it because I really liked it. And it is called Net by A.E. Kellogg. So we'll get right into that one too.
A spider on a silver web of cables, tangled cords swaying in the cold white light and stretching, waiting, poised. Skinny, dark, uncomfortable, with glittering, beady eyes. All set to tap out messages on square, black, flattened tiles. Movement, trembling signs of life, rushing down a strand. Lowering, typing, sending it back. A winky and a laugh. Then back to waiting, hovering, awash in cold white light, beady dark eyes glittering, digits itching to reply.
So I think when she first submitted this piece a while back, she was still, so when I talked to her about it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe she was still looking for the right title that she wanted to put to it. Originally it was called Web, but that was probably a little bit too much of a giveaway. Can you guess what they're talking about here?
I think she's almost talking about having conversations with people, and it's just, and it's like you're texting, and it's that feel of you're uncomfortable, but you want to keep going, and it's just trying to push out of your comfort zone. Even though it's not face to face, there's still that fear of replying, but you still do it anyways.
Yeah. Then back to waiting. I like a spider in a silver web of cables, tangled cords, like charging a phone essentially. Where is it? Then back to waiting, hovering, awash in white light. The hovering part I picture like holding the phone above you when you're in bed at night, just kind of keeping it above you, and you're awash in that cold white light of the fluorescent screen. beady dark eyes glittering, and you're just the digits, your fingers are waiting to reply. But the neat thing is this is all kind of captured by the metaphor of a spider on a silver web. The web could be the internet, possibly, but so back to the thing on how words kind of create an atmosphere, like certain key phrases. Spider, you think of trap, I think, is the first thing that comes to my mind, like a trap, like maybe like death in a sense too, a trap, a death, something that is waiting. And she even puts swaying in that cold white light and stretching, waiting, poised, skinny, dark, uncomfortable with glittering beady eyes, all set to tap out messages on square black flattened tiles, which would definitely be texting in my opinion.
Definitely.
And it's, oh man, I remember reading this a long time ago. It's such a good piece. I feel what's being said here is how we have been trapped by a lot of our media and a lot of texting and a lot of stuff like that. And it has become something that has really kind of consumed us. It has caught us in a net. The title says net. We're talking about a spider, and everything about it. And actually, my mind is going like 12 different directions. But what's cool too is, so spider maybe denotes like net or trap, like I said. But in this piece, the person seems to be the spider. So are we trapping other people?
See, I'm almost thinking of someone waiting by their phone, just ready to get that text message.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting and staring at their phone, and they're just waiting and waiting. And then they get it. And it's great. And then it's back to waiting.
Yeah.
So almost like they were trapped by the person they were talking to.
Oh, and it's a feedback loop.
Yes.
It just goes back and forth. The person texts and the other person texts.
Maybe it's someone that you want a relationship with or have feelings with, or you're arguing with someone, but you are having a conversation. You can't leave the phone alone.
Or there's an like all sorts of, any scenario fits into that. It really does. Movement, trembling sign of life. That to me is the vibration of the phone.
Yes.
You get the message of some sort. Rushing down a strand through the web, lowering, typing, sending it back, a winky and a laugh. That's such a that line is so, it's like a different color for it. This entire thing, skinny, dark, uncomfortable, glittering, beady eyes, and then a winky and a laugh just kind of thrown in there. Oh man, I love this piece. There's so much I could look into. It's such a playful piece too. The other two pieces we have, there's a poem. Two poems actually, so net, trying, and then the first one is more of kind of a short story maybe, the Mermaid Tears. I guess I'll pull back some more. So thank you for submitting that. That was Net by Anastasia Kellogg, A.E. Kellogg. And usually towards the end of our show, I guess I'll kind of preface it with that, we like to go back and look at the pieces that we've had on here, and not always do we try to connect them. I've been told by some people that I probably reach a little bit too much on that on occasion. But I think it's fun to see similar themes, different perspectives on maybe one thing. So when I look at these ones, and you can jump in if there's anything you see that might be, I guess, some sort of a connection there. It doesn't have to be, but things that jump out, or if you want to go back and touch on one. So we had Mermaid Tears, which was about the mermaids and kind of the world becoming not quite as magical as it used to be. And even from the magical perspective of something that the mermaid and the sea witch that are magical, they look at it and go, wow, this is not how it used to be. People are just, they're not the same. It's so different. And then Trying, which was about ugly girls, trying to, I guess, maintain their stability in the world, or like trying to get noticed, trying to be anything. And then Net, I guess maybe one word that kind of sticks out to me is like trap in all of them. The net would be trapped by the phone. Trying is trapped by your own thoughts, possibly. And then Mermaid Tears, trapped by the ideal of something beautiful that might not be realistic.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing.
Say it again, quick. We'll reinforce it.
I mean, they all do represent having something trapped, whether it's by your mind, by technology, or the internet, or just the world. You all are trapped by something, whether we are aware of it or not. And it's almost like this is just an awareness that's being found in all these different perspectives.
Yeah. Oh man. Sometimes I wish we had more than like half an hour to talk about this stuff because I could probably go on for ages. There was one point in trying that I wanted to look at too, but we still have the time. Where is it? Dungeon it in bags under our eyes. So the stanza is ugly girls. We lean into the lamplight, drag it harshly over our cheekbones, dungeon it in bags under our eyes, and snarl away into your sight. What do you think dungeon it in bags under our eyes is referring to?
I think I'm picturing someone just who's almost unwell, whether it's mentally just thinking that they look unwell or physically just, I'm picturing a sunken face with big bags under the eyes, just kind of a shallow look, like just kind of done. And that is just the picture that comes to my mind. It's just someone looking in the mirror and just seeing how the light hits, and it's just exaggerating the sunken features and the dark circles. And
I like that interpretation. I was mine when it struck me when I read it was similar to makeup in a sense. Ugly girls, we lean into the lamplight to kind of apply it, drag it harshly over our cheekbones to just kind of get it, applied, and then dungeon it in bags under our eyes, putting that, I actually don't know what would be put on underneath the eyes to cover that up. I haven't put on makeup in a while, so you'll have to forgive me. And snarl our way into your sight, like smile as much as we can, just kind of get into their sight, like show we're there. And the dungeon part, I love that word, especially for the entire thing, because it also denotes like a trap. It denotes something that is chained, that is not free. And I mean, what's more so than that? In some senses, I won't generalize this for all of it, but more so than that, than a mask, essentially, in a sense that you're just putting on your face. Yeah, that one stuck out to me, so I wanted to go back and touch on that too. But
they are all incredibly good.
Yeah.
And I wish I had time just to go back and reread them all. And
I suppose I could just do like the next 4 episodes, and we'll just do the same piece each time. Maybe that. I might lose some listeners, actually, if I manage that. Like, wow, this is the same thing over and over again.
Just listen and absorb.
Listen and absorb over and over. It'll be a meditation for everyone. Let's see. So trying net mermaid tears. I think actually we're running towards the end, so let me look over this real quick and see if there's anything else I wanted to touch on these. I think both of us gave each other a look and we're like, no, I think we've kind of hit everything. So thank you again, A.E. Kellogg, for submitting these. And again, that was Mermaid Tears, Trying, and Net. Good night, everyone. Just kidding. Not over just yet. You have to stick with us for a few more minutes. I really appreciate you submitting, Anastasia. You've saved me many, many times. And if anyone ever wants to submit new pieces, the theme that I have had going for this show from the beginning, I guess I have a minute to talk about this because I'm excited about it. And it's my 20th show. I should have some sort of like recap or something.
You should.
Right at the end. This is the perfect time for it when everyone's getting ready to leave. This show I created with the mindset of I really like the arts. So writing, pictures, drawing. And I felt among the ones that are less appreciated sometimes is writing, because it takes time to read. There's a lot of it out there, a lot of it, and it's hard to find ones that you might enjoy. I won't say find good ones, because I think that's in the eye of each person who reads it, but it's hard to find ones you enjoy because you have to sift through a lot of stuff. And it's also it's hard for people who are trying to write to put it out there and have it on places. And so this show, to me, I really just wanted to be kind of a communal effort of people who enjoy writing, who are trying to write, who have either written for many years. I think we had Rob Davidson on a little while back, who's just been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize for his most recent book. Way to go, Rob. Woo! And then people who have never written before. I think we've had people submit who have never had pieces ever done before, and all of that is amazing to me. So I guess for all the listeners out there and for everyone who's been part of the show, and thank you, Hannah, and everyone who's participated, like really thank you from the bottom of my heart, because this has been quite the adventure for me. So if you want to submit at any point and you like the theme of the show, or you have suggestions or anything, this is Writing on Air, and you can submit at write.onair@gmail.com. And this is KZFR 90.1. We are on Facebook, not the KZFR, the Write on Air part. Although I believe KZFR is on Facebook too.
I think
But-
you'd be correct.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So separate that in your mind. KZFR has a Facebook page, and Writing on Air has a Facebook page. We're two separate entities. So you can contact me through Facebook, through email, and watch the shows on YouTube. Writing on Air, I put them up after every show. Thank you everyone. This has been a great night, and thank you for 20 good episodes. Thanks, Hannah, for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.